The views and opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
All right, it's Thursday, the 17th day of December, 2020. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House and LINDO'S. I'm JAMEL HARDTMAN, along with CARLA ZUILL. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you haven't already, share the link, start a watch party, retweet it. Just get this conversation out there to your network. The Commissioner of the Bermuda Police Service, Stephen Corbishley, will be stopping by today. The Daily Play is a name that place. Before we get to all of that, though, we want to discuss a few things that have made the rounds in the news so far this week. Before we get there, how are you feeling today, Carla? It's Thursday, one day closer to Friday, which is one day closer to Saturday, if that means anything to you.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
I'm well, thank you. I was a little stressed yesterday, but I feel better today.
I know we asked this a couple weeks ago with you and Jackie, but stressed. What do you do when you're stressed?
It depends on how stressed. It depends on how stressed I am. But what I did, I just kept trucking. I had a positive vibe. I'm awaiting a piece of furniture, and I missed it as I was on the show, but it wasn't my fault because they said they were coming after the show. And I could see them on the camera, and I couldn't do anything because I was in the show. Mm-hmm. And I was having a mini meltdown. But I said, you know what? It's done. Let's hope that it can come back before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
See, dedication.
New piece of furniture. It's a family show, so don't say what you're thinking. Alrighty. But a lot to discuss. And let's start with before we even get into the cruise situation, I want to ask, because, I'm not in the know and I don't see everything that's been reported, but has the Minister of Health, help me if I'm wrong, has she come out to clarify or explain her statement? And has the Bermuda journalist media, if that's a thing, have the journalists in Bermuda media followed up with the minister and that statement? Does anyone know that? Because her statement regarding IATA was made on Monday evening. It's now Thursday, and I'm still, I guess it could be just me, but I'm pretty sure it's more than just me. People are still have no more answers than they did then. So did I miss something, Carla? Did you see anything?
I didn't. I read the statement, which comes out, daily. Didn't see anything referencing, but I didn't see the Q&A of the live press conference. Was there one? I don't even know that, unfortunately. So
okay. I mean, how does government work? They have these, the people, you used to be one of them, the
public affairs officers, or they call them communication officers now, but yeah, same thing.
So they have those people who can write something to clarify the statement that was made by the minister, right?
Yes, in essence, yes.
But since there's no statement that's being made, would it be fair to say that she was clear in what she said?
Well, being fair to the PAO, and I don't know anyone there who works in that capacity anymore, but sometimes you can make recommendations, but the direction comes from the ministry. So a PAO could have said, well, to the public, what they call the permanent secretary, the community is saying this, maybe we should do a statement. And if they don't get the go ahead, the PAO doesn't have control. That's my point. So maybe the minister felt satisfied, or maybe she's going to address it at the next live conference.
Well, that's my point. And Shayna Smith says they didn't have a press conference yesterday. I guess my point is when you make inaccurate statements, well, sorry, alleged inaccurate statements like that, we shouldn't have to wait for the next press conference when the people want clarity.
Maybe they're looking for it themselves.
Pardon?
Maybe meaning the Ministry of Health is looking for it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, but again, communicating that with the public would be, it's nothing hurting anyone from doing that, right? Communicating that, we understand there are many questions in the public about a statement made by the minister, and we are working to clarify or further, retract or whatever. But I'm just interested in why we have to wait for a press conference or journalists, I would think would say, you know what, that was an interesting answer, and after further research I found this. Why should I have to wait for the next press conference? Journalists are not there just to attend press conferences, are they? Aren't they there to kind of call people and ask them questions based on what's been reported, especially once they find things out? I mean, I watch sports, so that's at least what I find in sports.
You really want me to answer that? I think that in some cases the media landscape has changed a lot, and so is there a keen interest, or are we just about, and I say we as a fellow journalist, are we just about receiving information? Some people, there takes a different skill set, People can receive information, but to output it succinctly is a different kettle of fish. And I think that it's situations like these that bring that out. No disrespect to anyone, but it's so easy to say that I'm a journalist or I'm a news gatherer. But can you produce it? That's a difference. Or just create sound bites. Something to think about.
I don't want people get distracted by the press conference thing. I don't care when a press conference is, quite frankly. That's not what I'm asking here. What I'm asking is, there was a statement made on Monday. Why is it now Thursday? Everyone's talking about a press conference.
Because I had made the mistake of saying I didn't know if it was last night. That's why they're clarifying that. Because that's what I said to you. I missed it, maybe.
Well, yeah, this has, what I'm speaking of has nothing to do with a press conference. It has everything to do with being able to have a mouth, being able to have an email, being able to have fingers to type. This is communicating further to what was said last time. And there's nothing stopping either the minister from addressing this. There's nothing stopping from journalists from asking her. I'm not.
They're not though. Who says they're not? Being, again, looking at it from the different side, who says that they're not? Sometimes
that's my first point, though, Carla. You're not really doing anything in their favor.
Hypothesizing. Well, because you're hypothesizing about something that you don't really know.
But what you're saying is, who says they're not? That just goes right back to the first thing I just said, which was, well, they have mouths, they have fingers, they have. If they are, it hasn't been communicated. So why are we not aware if you have asked? That's the purpose. That's the point of journalism I'm talking about, is if you've asked the question, it's different. Right now in basketball, there's a lot going on with Kyrie Irving and what's my mate, James Harden, right? He's not my mate. I don't know him, you all, but there's a lot going on with them in terms of them not speaking to the media who Kyrie Irving claimed were pawns, right? At least the media can say, well, we tried to reach out to them. So this is no excuse to say, well, who says they're not? At the end of the day, the people don't have answers. It's no different from ResQuest. Nobody was asking any questions.
Mal, I hear you. And I'm just going to say, as someone that's been there, it's not always that cut and dry. We're just hypothesizing. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not taking away your point. But what I'm saying is, I can ask a question tomorrow and it don't get answered for a week, And so, again, if you are not trained to create news as opposed to just wait for it to come, you may not think to do a story to say, I asked. There are some out there who would do that, but the delivery may be a little different. So just saying, making excuses for anybody.
I don't think anyone's disputing what you're saying, though. And that's what I want to drive home here to everyone that's tuned into this. No one's disputing anything. I've said from the beginning of this conversation that I am interested. It's all about the public. It's not about JAMEL or CARLA asking questions and not getting an answer. It's not about the media, whether it's Sam Strandres, Don Burgess. It's not about that. From the whole purpose of this conversation is what has been communicated with the public. That's it. I don't care whether they've asked and not gotten a response. That too needs to be communicated. And this is why I appreciate Twitter and the young people on Twitter, because they aren't afraid to tag somebody when they want answers. Because I guarantee to you, if there was an election next week, we would have some answers. So
that was going to be my next thing. The public needs to make demands.
But they are. That's my point. They are. They're making demands. That people have asked questions, right? They're again, this I'm going to say the Twitter generation is probably top tier with that, right? But at the end of the day, when there's no urgency to answer or respond, because if they know that they understand the climate, then this is what you're going to get. This is what we get. Kathy Brumby says people don't seem enraged. They following everything hook, line, and sinker. COVID comes in and social justice and human rights go out the window. Well, I'm going to ask the question since she said it. And I'll ask Katora, who's been on from Social Justice Bermuda, and I'll ask Kristen White. There was supposed to be a march last week that had nothing to do with them. And there's been people saying they're not wearing masks. There's been people saying they're not taking a vaccination. Someone said to me that they believe that Social Justice Bermuda is an action group, not an activism group. And I didn't know the difference, right, when they said it. And they said an action group would do something like march against, what's the gentleman name, the U.S. consul. That's an action. And so activist groups would be, make themselves known on multiple issues, or make them wouldn't just go. I don't. It was just a difference that was explained to me. I say that because I would love to hear from them. Not that they support any of this stuff from last week, but this point right here about social justice and human rights go out the window. I don't necessarily believe that's the case in this, but I would love to know, beyond what they presented as their platform, what their thoughts are on this here. And I just say that because I remember when Larry Marshall Sr. was asked numerous questions about other issues, which he did have opinions about and he shared. And they didn't make the news and media, but he shared them, thankfully, to social media. So I would love to get their opinion, so that this line that Kathy Brumby is saying, COVID comes in and social justice and human rights go out the window, it doesn't become people's reality. So that would be my question to, and I only call the names of Katora and Kristen because they've been on this show to speak about it, right? So I'd love to get their perspective on what's going on from a social justice perspective. Well, we telling none of those rights go out the window. Again, what she's saying is what I just said is more or less, I want to hear from them to kind of, so that what Ms. Brumby is saying doesn't become people's reality, not reality, but people's reality. So it's just asking them for like clarification as to where do they currently stand. That's it. That's it. Renee Charlene Simmons says, I get what JAMEL is saying. The minister should have made a point to clarify her statement, whether there was a press conference or not. I mean, it's that simple. To sit her and say that maybe she has, or maybe that's neither here or there. I mean,
no, I didn't say maybe she has.
Let me finish. When people want to make a statement, they have every opportunity and any opportunity to do so, because we live in a digital information age to communicate. So that's the overall point I'm making, is that take the journalist out of it. She's had every opportunity to communicate something. By not communicating, it could be sending a message that I stand on my word.
I was just going to say that. Who's to say that she feels, or the ministry feels, that it was a miscommunication? And as some people have said, maybe, and you even alluded to it, maybe IATA's website isn't up to date. I think that's highly unlikely, but being fair, so maybe she doesn't feel like she's misspoke.
No, I agree with you. I think, it could be. And I said that on Tuesday, or whenever we discussed it, I said that it could be they haven't updated their website. It could have, she spoke too early. She knows something we don't know, but we don't know that. We're just here speculating. So we honestly don't know that. Kathy Brumby says, why then aren't outraged about the IATA comment? I mean, I wish I had that answer for you, Ms. Brumby. I do. And I hope we can get those answers. I do. Charlotte Fox, send them an invite to the show. They've been on here. There's no one that's never not going to be invited to the show. And I mean, we're wrapping up the year, but people are always welcome to make statements. I mean, I can personally text either of them right now and just ask them what's their opinion on it. But I think there are expectations when you go out and you say you're a group and defined by certain things, then people have certain expectations. So I understand why people have these questions about where do they stand on certain things. James Birch, caller.
For me, as long as emergency restrictions are based on data or expert opinion and have a regular review, specific durations, then my human rights are still intact.
Data. Our good friend Data. Now, I weren't the smartest guy in statistics, and actually that's the course I had to take at Bermuda College to get in graduate school. Thank you to Professor Dana Lightbourne helping me get through that. But when I first took a statistics course, Professor broke it down to me like this. Statistics and data will tell the audience that you're speaking to whatever you want them to believe. Example, the safest car in America, the model was a Caravan, right? And professor said, can anyone tell me why it's the safest car in America? And people were talking about, oh, the way it's built, this and that. And she said, no, it's the safest car in America because they get in the least accidents. And she said, the reason they get in the least amount of accidents is because people who have the Caravans usually have children, and mothers are usually driving their children. And those mothers who drive their children are usually more cautious in the way they drive. So based on Caravans being in the least amount of accidents, they then said they're the safest model of car in America. That's the data that they're using to make their point. So when I appreciate what James Birch is saying, but I think it's our responsibility when comments like this are made is to really challenge these traditionalist thoughts of exactly what's been said for ages and ages. Data is as good as an opinion at times. And when we talk about expert opinions, well, don't get us started. The term expert is so subjective at this point. Now, we can believe what we want to believe based on what we want to see as quality and qualified information. But I think statements like this don't help in the year 2020. Man, I feel like I'm opposing everyone this morning. That's not my intention, you guys.
What's new?
Yeah. I ought to make recommendations, and it's up to governments to make the choice of setting the standard. I mean, it's clear on the website. And the Chico tried exactly. You can make data tell whatever story you wish. That is statistics. Exactly. I ought to uphold whatever specific governments direct. And I don't think she's speaking for social justice, Bermuda. She's speaking for Keturah Horton Parent, just in case somebody wants to say, well, Keturah's there. She spoke. No, I think she's speaking as herself. Andrew Zario says, I'm annoyed as this conferences are supposed to dispel rumors or misinformation. Her misspoke caused some anxiety and also some heated arguments. Those conferences are supposed to be a form of truism. And that's, look, let me be clear, regardless of how I feel about the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party or this individual minister, I don't think my perspective is based on individual and personal feelings. I think my perspective, and this is the real, and CARLA personally has had a lot of social media conversations, debates, arguments with people about this. There are so many people who have their theories. Again, I'm not going to use the term conspiracy, but theories of it's a pandemic and it's not real and so on, right? When statements like this are made without facts to back it up, it really, really doesn't help the situation. And that's my only point in bringing this up. I did not even want to discuss this morning. I really told CARLA last night, let's discuss this cruise ship thing. But we have to focus on things like this because at the end of the day, we are in a situation where we want solutions. We need solutions. And when information like that is given out, and in this information age where people can go, well, if not on their own, come to the Daily Hour and find out otherwise, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Let's read some final comments. We're a little late going to the news. Commissioner Corbishley will be coming up at about 30 minutes past the hour. I know you all have a lot of questions. Leslie White, CARLA.
Marketing, using data and statistics to get people to take the action to want them to take.
Erna Ina says this is how people lose their rights with the internet. You see many points of views. James Birch agreed. Jamel, understanding correlation and causation are needed. Summer Richardson, excellent point. Considering all the data we are inundated with at countless press conferences, the best listener would struggle to keep up and ask quality questions to form their own opinions. Interesting. Kathy Bromby, not being able to travel without vax. WHO and CDC follow the money, control equals power. Look, let me address that before we go to the news. Carla, we spoke about this yesterday. You went to college in the US, you had to get your shots, and so I'll make sure they were up to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all, well, not we've all, but most people have been to the US to school, or you've traveled to countries in South America or Africa. You've had to make sure you had certain shots and up to date. This is not new if you've lived beyond your environment. I'll end it right there. If you've lived beyond your environment, this is not new. All right. I'll leave it at that. One last comment. Couture Horton she says the minister is responsible for ensuring that her statements to the public are accurate. This is her bad. She needs to retract and or clarify. Thank you for that. Couture, Carla, my apologies, but let's get to the news. And hopefully we don't have to clarify, because that's not what we do on this show. We just give it to you as it is.
The Bermuda Economic Development Corporation will be providing COVID-19 emergency grant funding to assist bars, nightclubs, member clubs, and restaurants that have been negatively impacted due to the mandatory public health closures issued by the Ministry of Health due to the rise in COVID-19 cases. The funding will come out of the $12 million that has been allocated to assist businesses during COVID-19. The one-time grant relief is a needs-based funding product that will be available specifically for approved bars, nightclubs, member clubs, and restaurants as of December 8th, 2020. The relief will be granted on a case-by-case basis. Businesses must be registered with the BEDC to apply. With effect from 9 a.m. this morning, entrepreneurs with businesses that are impacted can visit www.bedc.bm to apply for the emergency grants. The Department of Public Transportation has advised the public that the bus service will resume daily operations effective today. The Ministry of Health undertook a risk assessment and is satisfied with the workplace protocols in place at DPT. This confirmation and the enhanced department protocols allow for a safe return of the public bus service. The requirements for physical distancing, hygiene, and mask wearing will continue on board buses and at the central terminal. The ride-in public is asked to refrain from using the bus service unless it is deemed essential. There are plenty of different holidays out in the world that we know about, but there are some that we don't know much about or don't know of at all. Regifting Day is one of those lesser-known holidays unless we work in an office. So for those of us who don't, and we don't know what it's about, let's dive into the history of this holiday and see how it came to be. Regifting Day is mostly seen as an office holiday before October 28th. It was mostly seen, as an office holiday before October 24th, 2008, which was the day that the state of Colorado declared December 17th as National Regifting Day. The origin of the holiday came from office workers who were given gifts that they really didn't want, but didn't want to throw away. So they regifted their present to someone who would want it and make good use of it. To celebrate this day, all you have to do is give away a gift that you've received and have not opened yet to someone else. For example, gifts that you may not want may be something like this: a cup of coffee, a coffee cup from an office coworker, a television you already own, or even a bookshelf that you no longer have room for. Jamel, I dare you. Turning to weather, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers. Bermuda's high today will be 75, while Las Vegas, Nevada will see a high of 59, and Porto, Portugal will see a high of 57. Don't forget to tune in to the 4100radio.com tonight for Nighttime Jams, featuring some of your favorite romantic classics. That's your Daily Hour news break.
This regifting thing, right?
It's not a bad thought, to be honest. And it cuts down on waste.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I found my niche. Yeah, I think this regifting thing. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that, Carla. Police commissioner coming up in a few. We'll go to a break after. Talent Clark says this isn't a guaranteed thing, and if you've gone to college outside Bermuda, then where's your outrage at the mandatory vaccination requirements? Here's that question for Talent. There's definitely no outrage from me about any vaccinations, to be honest.
I think he's talking to Kathy Brun because she talked about the vaccination to travel.
Oh, okay, cool, got you. Yeah, so Carla, I got quite a few things that I can regift to you.
Like my gift that I got that year. What was that? Probably in 2007. He gave me a pencil sharpener for Christmas. Can you believe that? A pencil sharpener.
Did I?
You don't remember? Oh, right, because those were the days of what was his name? Smelliclaus? What was his name? Malaclaus.
Yeah. That was me. That was me. And usually inebriated back in those days. But hey, let's take a break. Enough about me. Let's take a break. We'll come back, and the commissioner is going to join us in a few.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
It will soon be Christmas, and we're busy preparing for the usual devotions to family, faith, and food against an eerie background of social distancing and preventative quarantine. They may make an entertaining theme in fiction, but pandemics are tragically unglamorous in reality, especially for those in the epicenter. We storm-tossed Bermudians have always had the powers of invention, stamina, and compassion that leap forward in order to make the best of any situation. And we think that's glad tidings for the spirit of Christmas 2020. LINDO'S, wishing you a safe and happy Christmas.
All right, welcome back to the big show. It's the Daily Hour. Carla ZUILL, myself, JAMEL Hartman. Thanks again to Medical House and LINDO'S, along with Crimson Multimedia with their Channel 82. Don't forget, Channel 82 is the home of Bermudian content, right? So if you have One Communications, make sure you're tuning in. And tonight, remember, what was it last week, Carla? We spoke about grown folks, right? With
Patrice.
Frith Haywood. So tonight, on Channel 82. And also, if you have the internet, you can watch channel82.bm. The topic is the beauty marriage, although sometimes it can get ugly. So that should be a good one.
Previews are looking good. I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah.
When I get married.
Well, what's 8 p.m. in your time? You're at, it's midnight, right? In the UK. All right. So I can't see, the thing is, I feel guilty saying, Carla, you should stay up, watch it so we can talk about it, because I'm like, if it was midnight here and it came on, I'll be way asleep.
But I usually don't go to bed before 2. So I went to bed early last night, like 12:30ish. So I feel so rested. So it's a high likelihood I'll be up at midnight. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, real quickly before we turn over to the commissioner, Charles has a comment that is actually funny to me, because he said, growing up, I thought Boxing Day was regifting day, right? And you know how children are, right, Carla? When you're young, people would always say, I remember being told when I was young, and don't laugh, I'm not saying I believed it, right? First off, I'm not saying I believed it, but I was told that Boxing Day was a holiday celebrated for Muhammad Ali.
I've never heard that, JAMEL, ever.
Yeah, I was told that, and I didn't believe it, but I was told that. But then as you get older, you learn things, and Charles saying he thought that was regifting. So my question is Boxing Day the official regifting day for the UK and the Commonwealth, and then in the US, regifting day is this made up day to try to,
It can't be, because that's rude. If I got a gift, I thought Boxing Day. If I got you a gift, Charles, it better sit under your tree for at least a week. If you're giving it away on Boxing Day, I thought Boxing Day was because you got the gifts in boxes, and that was the day that all the boxes were like laying around the house as such. But it can't be regifting day, or I dare somebody to do that.
Well, Carla, look, I'm gonna have a chat offline with you about regifting day and Boxing Day. All right, that's cool.
Yes, Mal.
Okay.
And he didn't, and I have to clarify, he did not give me a pencil sharpener. It was a joke.
No, you had
not that cheap.
You had me going, because I'm like, dang, that's what I thought of. But let's bring in the commissioner today. Get this conversation going. Don't forget, folks, stick around. We do have a winner for today's Christmas holiday giveaway. You all have been doing great. We do have another question coming up for you. Yesterday, now let me just clarify. Commissioner Corbishley was not one of the answers. The question yesterday was name one person who's appeared on this show more than once. Yesterday, the question was asked. Today, Commissioner Corbishley appears. Get it? So he could not be the answer yesterday. And we did get some people that said Commissioner Corbishley. So he is not one of the, I think, 6 or 7 people. But without further ado, let's bring in the commission. Sir, welcome back.
Morning, guys.
How are you?
Yeah, it's quite funny, because as I came into the studio, the first word I heard was Carla saying, "I can't wait to meet him and marry him." So I thought, look at that, this is going to be a great interview.
But you see something, Commissioner. When she said that, I said, let me exit that conversation real quickly. You know, I didn't even want to go there, but I'm glad you brought it back up, so that those fellas out there, hey, get ready, get your knee pads out. She's ready. She's ready.
I'll tell you a funny story just very quick. I love the show, by the way. I was chatting to my mother the other day. Carla, she's in the UK. And I said to her that I'd gone to bed the night before about just after midnight. And she said, "Oh, you be careful with that curfew. You don't want to get into trouble." So I did say to her, I said, the curfew is not to tell you to go to sleep at 11 o'clock. Because I couldn't imagine the BPS going around and checking lights out and no one's got their torches in their bedroom reading. But bless her, that was her advice to me. I had to be asleep at curfew, not just in the house.
Gee, that was a strict term there, Commissioner.
Yeah. So
I'll have to do, once this is settled, I'll have to do a drive-by, and I'm gonna take a picture with her and send it to you and be like, "I'm outside your mom's house."
She'd love that. She'd love it. So.
I promise you I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning to you. First off, you before we get into anything else, how have you been doing as far as you were diagnosed with COVID, right? How have you been doing?
Yeah, I've been asked quite a few times, and I mean, there's no secrets in Bermuda, and I sort of just said, "Oh, well, I've got it," and I was surprised to get it, picked it up from somewhere, and I'm not being dismissive. I was lucky. The symptoms were flu-like, about 2 or 3 days, and then a period of feeling very, very tired. But the thing that sort of hit me on 2 issues, one was that if you are vulnerable, so whether it's somebody in our senior community or somebody's got an underlying health issue, it's a really, really serious virus. Because I mean, I had a cough for a few weeks even after I was tested as negative. And the other thing as well is the well-being agenda. And I think that's been a big issue this year for people in Bermuda. So I was isolated for 15 days, didn't see anybody. And okay, you cope and you get on with things. And I think what people are finding now, whether it be they're exposed or they have the virus or they're quarantined, it's that kind of containment in the home. It puts a great deal of pressure. And I think the well-being agenda is something that Bermuda's been alive to. Lots of agencies offering support. But of course, our lives have changed over the past 12 months and we're still in that situation. And it's one that we should be sensitive to.
Indeed. Well, good to see that you seem to be recovering well. And we wish you and anyone impacted in the organization, the Bermuda Police Service, and your family well during this time. Let's get right to the year. It's been an indifferent year in so many respects, tragic in some respects as well. But I want to start off by just focusing on some of the questions that came through personally to me last night, and not to get them out of the way, but to address it. In 2019, Bermuda recorded no murders, and I think a lot of people forget that. Bermuda recorded no murders in 2019, despite 2020 being a year of social distancing and a lack of activities, comparatively speaking. Bermuda has seen quite a few. What was done differently in 2019 versus 2020, or was it just down to luck?
I mean, I'm not going to be foolish to say that there isn't some luck in things happening, Jamel. There's a lot of work that goes on, not just by the police, but in partnership with the government's anti-gang unit, and obviously familiar with the work of Pastor Bean. And we are a service of prevention, and I prefer to be very much in that space where we stop things happening. And sadly, but successfully, we stop many serious violence from taking place, particularly those involving gangs and also involving guns. And last year, we worked very hard in that intervention. But of course, we entered the year where we had, I think it was 3 murders, so 2 with guns and 1 very tragic stabbing. And obviously, the inquiries are ongoing. We have knowledge as to who we believe the suspects are. And they are related to perhaps a different dynamic where we've seen arguments taking place is within the gangs as opposed to gangs against gangs. Now, unfortunately, that's not unusual. We obviously need to respond to that, understand what's taking place. But the key thing is that we've got to work in partnership on a number of reasons. One is that we've got to divert young people away from this kind of high-risk environment, whether it be through employment, intervention, third parties, good leaders in the community. But also, it doesn't take away the fact that we've got to work very much with our young people. I'm talking right the way down to children. So continue to invest in the kind of school education programs, work with parents, get them supported. So, I mean, any loss of life is an ultimate tragedy because, I mean, our role as a police, our primary role is to protect life. We had the incident, which I think most people are aware of, in St. George last week, where thankfully, still serious, where there was an attempt on somebody's life and the gun didn't work and we arrested the party, which has also allowed us to take a gun away. But it's a reminder that there are people out there that have got access to weapons, they're prepared to use them, and some people are a whisker away from a decision where absolutely atrociously they can take another person's life away. So it's probably one of the biggest areas we invest in, the intelligence, the partnership and the intervention. And it's one that really we work 24 hours a day on. How we solve it in the future, I think we've got to continue, as I say, invest in those early interventions, but also work with the community, get their trust, not only just to provide information, but get their trust to work with families that perhaps are in a difficult situation, high risk, so we get our young people to realise the right path that they need to go down.
Commissioner, with the number of murders, has anyone been charged with any of them to date?
No, we've got Carla, we've got a number of investigations. I mean, quite often it's very complicated and we have to rely a lot on forensic evidence. There is a difficulty, and it's one that I don't moan or criticise because I can understand it, but sometimes there are parts of the community that maybe have information that don't want to tell us. And the reasons for that is maybe fear, intimidation, trust. So we continue to communicate and get people to come forward. And some people do, but there's a difference between them providing information and providing information that perhaps they would be prepared to stand up in court and give evidence. But I had a review on the investigations only a couple of weeks ago. They progress. And it's not unusual either, because we've seen a number of cases go to court around incidents that perhaps have been 18 months, 2 years previously. Just by the nature of inquiries we've got to do, we have very good support from overseas forensic bodies. We do a lot of analysis of CCTV, which actually gives us some great opportunity, and there's lots of digital forensics as well, so we can find out, put people in the right place, and so on. But I won't kid you, it's challenging. It's very challenging with the absence of witnesses, that we have to focus very much around the forensic side and intelligence that we have. So I'm confident going forward that we're going to bring people to justice. It just takes some time.
So, I mean, Bermuda is a very, as we know, like you said earlier, there are no secrets, small community. And I recall in my lifetime, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there have been times where you've had intelligence come on the island from overseas. My question is, could this be why it wouldn't work in Bermuda? But why can't we bring in, or why can't there be any undercover people who fit the profile and infiltrate and do a long-term investigation to try to figure out who some of these murderers are, for example, because no one's talking. Yeah. So is there any way around that as such?
I mean, I could wink at you and say, I can't tell you what we do, because a good sort of police service shouldn't disclose what we do in regards to perhaps our covert intelligence tactics. Yes. The point you make is a very good one. Part of the police remit, we have obviously right away from the community policing to other aspects where we respect civil liberties, but equally when there are serious crime taking place, we use and we have a remit of technology, and there's other tactics that we do use. So if you read between my lips, you know what I'm saying.
Chevelle Dylan Burgess, it's been, I want to say, 10 months now. She went missing official. Well, last heard from in March or April. It's now December. There's been the $50,000 reward. Yeah. There's been the constant appeal for people to come forward. I wouldn't even say is, but how is her case a source of frustration for the Bermuda Police Service? And is there any progress being made?
Yeah, I actually had it kind of on my list of things I was going to cover with you today, because it's never far from my mind, and I know it's never far from the mind of the community. It's a complex case. It still continues with gusto today, and I was given an update. You've got two separate parts to the investigation, as well as obviously our support to Chevelle's mother and her child. So you've got the search aspect, which still continues, and we're at a point where by I think the end of this year we will have covered every blade of grass, every part of water, underground and so on, with a thorough search. And if you recall, we brought a specialist canine over from the United States, Falco. It's a Cadver dog, and has great capability and be able to search for Chevelle. And this is where obviously I'm very mindful of the words that I use, because obviously sensitivity to the family. But we believe that obviously the most terrible thing has happened to Chevelle, and this very much is an investigation into that fact. So it continues. Lots of people, and great that they've raised different views about what could have happened to her. Was she taken out to sea? Was she? And I don't really want to go on the description, I'm sure, because there's going to be friends and family listening. But those kind of things, and that hypothesis has been investigated in all different parts. But our search continues, but there will be a point where, particularly when we go forward, and notice I say when we go forward with the DPP, and we're working very closely with them in regards to the consideration of any prosecution. And certainly my experience of working in the UK, where cases have gone forward for homicide, where the victim has not been found, we have to do this thoroughly to show that almost there's a proof of no life as opposed to a proof of life, because obviously that's part of the evidential presentation. So that's a search on that side, still continuing, still engagement with Chevelle's family and offering them support, and still very much a focused investigation. In regards to what took place with her, we're very clear around the time that we think something happened to her, and a window where she was reported as missing. There is a person on bail at the moment who is fitted with electronic monitoring device, and there's inquiries that have continued around that person and indeed other parties, because it is my and the BPS's belief that this matter was not committed by one person alone, which brings into play things like the reward and the constant, obviously from my side, social media constantly saying, look, somebody does know. And I genuinely believe somebody outside the parties directly responsible does know something. And these kind of investigations are like a jigsaw, and you start assembling it, you can see the picture of what's happened, but there's some key pieces. But from my reflection and speaking to the head of our crime department the other day, we are confident we're building a very, very strong case. We're continuing the search, and it's one that really my commitment is on behalf of Chevelle's mother, her family, and her loved ones, because we've got to get this right. We've got to find out what has happened to Chevelle, and also for the people that are responsible, justice needs to be applied to them. So that's a long way of saying, Carla, that there's still massive amount of work going on it. The community will think, well, what's going on? Every single day we make a little bit of progress, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we can do something that's right for her family.
I've said it a number of times, Commissioner, and I could be wrong, but I've said, with there being such a substantive, and some people have said $50,000 isn't a lot of money, but I think $50,000 is a nice piece of pocket change for just opening one's mouth. The fact that this reward has been there and hasn't brought any sort of justice, I won't say movement, because I'm sure there could be things, but justice. What does that say about the community as far as not wanting to speak up? Or does that not say anything?
I understand what you're saying, Carla. I don't think the position we're in represents the wider community, because genuinely there are people who just simply don't know. And I offset against the fact of the kind of overwhelming information that even still comes in with people putting suggestions forward or things they've seen. So people genuinely are wanting to help, and they help on the basis of they see it from a sort of, I don't know, mother-daughter type thing. But there is clearly a pocket of people who have knowledge, and it's very hard to break that. And okay, it could be 50,000, it could be 5 million. Would 5 million make any difference? I don't know, because there is loyalty that exists in certain groups that is very, very hard to break, and that reflects in regards to some of our investigations where you see it on television, people come into custody, it's no comment, and so on, and we have to work really hard. So we can look at it as perhaps a sad reflection, but I actually don't think it represents the community. It's about one person who even may be afraid to say something, and a lot of the information we're trying to get across is you can tell us something in confidence, and if it's the right information that takes us forward, then we can still do the same arrangement. But the reward is still there. We still publicise it. It's on the Royal Gazette every day. And it may be the thing that just gives us an extra piece of information. But what I just want to say, and it's the kind of reassurance, we are not dependent on the reward triggering something. We have very good evidence being gathered. It's, as I say, it's a complex case where you've got lots of different circumstantial facts that need to come together to build a case that's persuasive if it goes in front of a court as to what's taken place.
So, Commissioner, transitioning, what areas do you believe that the Bermuda Police Service has made progress in 2020?
Has made or hasn't made?
Has or hasn't?
I'll do both. I mean, Carla, it's been a really challenging year. I mean, none of us would have predicted 12 months ago we would be in this situation, and COVID has dominated. Well, it's dominated everybody's life, and we've had to change a lot of our business in regards to generally the kind of safety of our staff. So making sure that they're protected, they can continue being sort of healthy first responders, and we've worked very much in partnership with government. So obviously we saw shelter in place in the first instance, where we worked alongside the Bermuda Regiment, and we continue to support government around the compliance, and obviously our role is in regards to enforcement. So pretty much every day there is a COVID element. But we've also had lots of other challenges. We've maintained our sort of community policing footprint, which for me is probably one of my primary passions, that you've got to build a service that's visible and has relationship with the community, particularly whether it be the Black community, our seniors and so on, but a recognisable face that builds that relationship. But there's lots of other things we do, and I was asked the other day around the size of the police service, and we've got 400 officers, which still reflects austerity, because 12 months ago we had 425. And the question was, oh, have you got too many police officers? And of course I'm going to say no. It'd be daft to say otherwise. But one of the things that perhaps people don't appreciate is the wide remit that we deal with. So okay, this stuff that is a normal day-to-day service, so from road traffic collisions through to reported crime. But Bermuda, and obviously to its great credit, is a significant financial environment, lots of attraction for overseas businesses. But like with any business, there are criminal businesses that target us as well. So we invest heavily around managing financial crime. We've had some significant investigations this year, particularly with the US. And of course, we're in the new world of a lot of crime taking place in the cyber environment. Requires a lot of digital forensic capabilities. We do that a lot ourselves. We work in partnership. And of course, we've got some future changes. So we've got new cannabis legislation, which will take Bermuda into a different space around cultivation, retail sale and everything, and working in partnership about what that looks like, how we deal with it. I think there's some great merits for Bermuda, economic, as well as not criminalizing particularly young people for what I would say recreational drug use, albeit we've got to get the health issue right, because there are strains of particular cannabis that has got detrimental health issues, but the government are clear around ensuring that that's right and that's managed. And of course, as we go forward in the future, and again, another big passion for me, because people often talk to me about crime statistics going down. And I think it's important when we see violence and property crime, we want to get it down because we need to prevent stuff. But there's aspects of crime, believe it or not, Carla, that I want to see rise. We have a lot of hidden harm in Bermuda, so particularly domestic violence, offences in regards to children that lie behind closed doors. And certainly in working with partnership with Coalition for Children, with other groups as well, it's absolutely essential that we get those reports to us so we can work with DCFS and other partners to make sure people are protected. So there's certain aspects of crime I want to see increased reporting because it's the right thing to do.
Such an interesting.
A better 2021 based on the experience of the last 2 years. Do you see that? And I'm going to use a football analogy. I know that you're a City fan, but are you Liverpool?
Don't talk to me about it. Don't talk to me about Liverpool. It was smash and grab last night.
I'm the last person that wants to talk about that club, but I think what they did over the course of a few years to build what they've done, I think they're a perfect example of it took time. It took time to put together something that Klopp in his first few years, all he did was hug his players. But it took time to put the right pieces in to make them formidable, which is kind of what they are right now. With the Bermuda Police Service, when you came in, people were saying, "Oh, it looks like there's cleanup," based on what was being reported. You saw officers going before the courts. In 2019, again, that's part work to many different things, but the report of no murders, and then kind of took a hit this year. But obviously, you've mentioned just now there's progress that's taken place. Do you see this as a step in terms of what you're trying to put in place as Commissioner of Police? Do you see that you're doing there?
Yeah, it's a good question, Jamel. And sometimes it's frustrating because I can't talk to the public as much as I could, particularly when we've got inquiries. I know it's not your personal comment, but people talk about cleaning up and stuff like that. Hand on heart, the BPS is a fantastic police service, and the vast majority of our officers and staff come to work and they do a phenomenal job, often not seen and not fully appreciated by the public. But one of the things that we've invested in over the past 18 months is some vigor around professional standards. So issues around integrity, honesty, the kind of core values you should have. But also issues of professionalism, kind of civility, how we deal with the public, because our goal is to have those relationships, the positive, confident relationships with the public, and you can only do that with a service that reflects those same values. And unfortunately, we have got a situation where we've got a number of officers suspended, a number of officers on restrictions, and of course there's a process where people are innocent until proved otherwise, and that process needs to work through. But at the end of the day, my role, and certainly Deputy Commissioner Simons, who's what's called the appropriate authority, so Darren manages all the issues around professional standards. Whilst it's right to support staff, the big picture is having the BPS as a service that the public can trust, a service that's professional and a service of integrity. And that is my role to make sure it happens. And like any service, we make mistakes, but a good service accepts those mistakes and does something about it. So you actually learn from those mistakes and you get better and don't become perhaps stubborn or blasé to what your community is telling you. And it's one of the reasons, and I get a lot of licks for it. So I do like social media. And the reason why, and I did a few over COVID, just simply to try something different. And I just found alongside, I've got Gary Moreno, who works on our comm side. And it's just, we've changed a lot. It's about getting some information across to the people. Okay, an incident happens, but doing it in a more personable, relationship-based way, but also listening to the public about what their views are, so we can respond, we can adapt, and we can be better. And I hope we're on that journey. Things are always bumpy. You've got lots of challenges, and this year has been very challenging. But I'm still pleased with the direction we're going. I'm still pleased with the work ethic that we have in the service. And there's some fantastic pieces of work that are done the other day. The incident in St. George last week, very dangerous. And we had officers there without hesitation. They went, they secured the scene, they recovered a gun, which is phenomenal for Bermuda to take a gun off the street. So I congratulate them. And I wish I could do more, because there are many unsung heroes in the police and indeed other agencies that are really doing their bit for the community.
Indeed. Commissioner Corbishley, obviously from the first time you came on the show to now, we actually have people that show appreciation to us with ads and stuff, so we have to wrap it up. But we definitely are grateful to you and the Bermuda Police Service for trusting our platform to have these conversations. And going forward in the new year, we look forward to doing much more with you and communicating and engaging directly with the audience. That said, happy holidays to you, all of the police service, and your family as well, my friend.
Cheers, Jamel. Thanks, Carla. It's a great program. I enjoy being on it. Carla, have a great Christmas in the UK. I'll give my mum a shout. She'll put the kettle on for you. Have a cup of tea.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I think she's a lovely lady, but let's just hope she isn't a City fan, Carla. Let's just hope she isn't a City.
She is a City fan, Carla. I better clear off now.
We'll social distance then.
Have a wonderful day, Commish.
Okay, take care, guys. Bye.
No problem. All righty, going to pay a quick bill, and then we'll be back, and we'll have the daily play, daily inspiration, and we're going to give away another little something for you all, and then we'll have a question for tomorrow's gift.
Deck the halls with smartphone data. Fa la 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 la. Spread your holiday cheer with next one. Fa la 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 la. Free devices, phones and TVs. Fa la 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 la. Visit our website for more info. Fa la 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 la. Give some unexpected joy this season with free devices, plans that now include more data, and bundles for the whole family. Happy holidays from One Communications.
All right, welcome back. First off, apologies to everyone who was listening on the radio station. There was a lot of you this morning. My internet was actually down for 15 minutes. No one knew, but that's why we pre-planned the show and so on. So hopefully those who were listening on the radio station did come over to either television or internet to check in. But we're going to go a bit over time so that we can get to the daily play. First, the daily play, Carla, is very, very easy. I'm going to just give you the third hint. If you don't get it, then just erase yourself. What's that?
No food.
Actually, crazy enough, that was going to be the question for today, but I said just way too easy. All right. It's the third largest island in the Caribbean.
Cuba?
It's
I don't know.
Cuba's the largest. It's the largest English-speaking island in the Caribbean.
Jamaica?
Yeah, because if you didn't, I'm like, the next one I was going to say is the birthplace of reggae. All right, you got that answer, Carla. About time.
Yeah, man.
All right, here we go. Whatever she just said. Yeah, man. Here's today, what it's going to be. This is my mother-in-law's box. So today, yesterday's question was name a person who has been on the show more than once outside of Carla and myself, of course. All right, so today it's going to be a gift card to Medical House and the amount of $25. So let's go in. So yesterday we had Evelyn win. So let's see. What does that say, Carla?
Algene Mabry. Oh, hi,
Algene Mabry. So Algene Mabry is today's winner of the Christmas holiday giveaway. And then here's the question for today. And remember, folks, text it, WhatsApp it, send it via WhatsApp. What's the number? 441-517-0096. 441-517-0096. That is the question for today is name one of the hotels that have had a rep on the Daily Hour. Name one of the hotels in Bermuda that has had a rep on the Daily Hour. Send a WhatsApp right now. Carla, what you got for daily inspiration?
Becoming fearless isn't the point. That's impossible. It's learning how to control your fear and how to be free from it. Veronica Roth.
There we go. That is a good one. So tomorrow we'll have Tishel Bean coming up. He's been on the show before to talk about his animation and cartoons, and he has a new program, a holiday one, coming up on Channel 82. So we'll be discussing that tomorrow with Tishel. I do see a question. When is the last show of 2020? I'll let you know tomorrow. How's that? Yes, representative. We've had people from hotels in Bermuda. General manager.
I meant food too. I thought you meant food at first.
Hotel managers, representative. You said food?
Because you said rap, so I just thought food. I'm hungry. Sorry. And then I realized it after.
Rep from okay. Call us on. Folks, honestly, thank you all. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. Oh, and Jackie be back tomorrow. So the crazy, she will be bringing the crazy. Crazy Jackie is back on this show. Call us ZUILL. I'm JAMEL.